Hi, Kirill. Hi, everyone. So my name is Ruben. I'm a solutions architect in AWS based on Barcelona here. Thanks all for joining today, Thursday, almost Friday, end of the week. I'm aware you guys have been working, so let's try to keep this informal and entertaining. So we have three talks today. I'm going to kick off with security analytics with a couple of services in Amazon called Security Lake and Amazon OpenSearch. And I'll show also a solution how to bring visibility, observability into the security analytics landscape, right? So I have a couple of slides, well, 10 or so, but I'll try to keep it like short so we can jump into a demo. So, okay, so when we talk about security nowadays, right, we all think about logs, right, of course, and data ingestion, and a lot of data sources bringing data, and observability, of course, is required. Right? Nowadays, the landscape on security is becoming more and more complex. So we have different data sources, we have different systems, IoT. Traditionally, we used to think about web servers and people trying to log into SSH accounts and things like that. But nowadays, the landscape is more complex than that, right? So the information we deal with comes in different forms and shapes. We're talking about logs, also JSON files, CSV files, systems reporting. Also, we have different data sources from maybe data governance. We also think about well, different areas, like for example, operations, account activity, who's doing what into our accounts, what's the network activity, traffic, pattern matching. There is of course machine learning involved into detecting patterns. One area that is becoming more and more relevant these days is also the resource configuration analysis. So it's not just who's behaving in the wrong way in our systems, but how we automate the analysis and scanning of our resources to guarantee that they remain compliant, that there are no human interaction, human intervention checking if our systems are performing or not. We want to automate all that. So, of course, in Amazon, there are several services to do that. But the idea is that all that reporting, all these data sources should be automated and brought into visibility and analytics solution, right? So that's what this talk is about. So since we have all that data nowadays, what do you do when you have a lot of data? You build a data lake, right? So when we talk about data lakes, this is an example of some of the services on S3 or on Amazon and so, but conceptually, we are talking about cheap storage where we can keep track of all different information that we retrieve from different systems. This information might not be represented in the same format, might not be under the same structures, data formats, right? So nowadays, again, we talk about JSON. Different systems have different structures. So, okay, so data lakes. So we want to collect all that data in one single place. That's cheap. That's highly available. That's not might not be consistent because the formats, the structure that we have on the data might not be the same for all the data. But we want to keep it there. And at some point, we want to run analytics on that data. Maybe not now, maybe in the future, we want to automate. We may have different teams with different purposes trying to access that data. So that's why we need a data lake, right? And to exploit this data, right? So, yeah, so about security. Nowadays, the concept is not just one single data lake for all the solutions that we may have, but security itself is becoming an area where we start to see solutions focused on purposely built data lakes to tackle these security ideas, right? So that's where Amazon Security Lake jumps in, right? It's new, it's still on the preview. So if you guys have an AWS account, you may find Security Lake available there. It's just one click to enable it. And basically the idea is to have a fully managed system that centralizes all the data related to security in one single place. that is normalized somehow, right? And it's optimized, right? So it's purposely built. So that means it's especially built to keep security-related data, things like network activity logs, automation reporting from services like Security Hub or Guard Duty in Amazon, and CloudTrail, of course, is a big one. And it's under preview. So if you have the chance, have a look, because you just need one click to enable it. And the concept about Amazon Security Lake is all this data is stored on S3. You can keep all that data, but also Security Lake tries to provide a unifying layer on top of that data based on this new initiative that started last year from Splunk, among others, to collect all the data, all the security-related data under a specific standard that's called OCSF, right? It's open source, it's publicly available on GitHub, and the idea is to try to reduce silos when it comes to security, and to have among the myriad of formats that we have on security and reporting, to have one consistent way of building applications that consume the same data, right? That doesn't mean that your data has to be all in that format. You can always keep your data in S3, but when building solutions, at some point you need some structure, right? So that's exactly what Security Lake brings. So basically, how it works: you enable Security Lake. It lives on S3. All your data is stored under Parquet format, which is an optimized analytics format. And the data sources you may have are basically the typical Amazon services, S3, CloudTrail. You can bring your own data from your systems, and the analytics from there, usual suspects: Athena, OpenSearch, SageMaker, and of course, if you want to have your own tool for that, you can bring that as well into AWS. So what's happening under the hood, right? So once you enable Security Lake with one click, basically what's going on under the hood is automatically all the regions that you have on your account get the data on that regions coming from security related services is unified automatically, is processed by an ETL service in Amazon that's called Glue. And a catalog is automatically built on your account, so you have a schema and a structure of the data that you are collecting, right? Everything happens, is fully managed, so happens automatically just with one click. The other part of the solution, I've talked about, if you remember Data Lake, I've talked about how to store your data, how to keep it in a nice place. OpenSearch is the right side of the data lake, is the analytics part. It's a community-driven analytics and OpenSearch framework. It's open source, it's public available, keeps evolving, and gives you an entire environment to ingest your data and run analytics on it. So the way it works is REST API based. So it provides an API where you can put your data, store it there as JSON files, and then basically run analytics and dashboards on top of that, right? Under the hood again, OpenSearch is a cluster. So if you have requirements in terms of scalability, data governance, maybe you want to move to a serverless approach, there is OpenSearch serverless as well. But it's a cluster that can scale, and you can define the way it scales and the nodes on the cluster. So if you want to fine tune OpenSearch, you can do that as well. Okay, so this is just an example. We'll see this on the demo later. It's basically how dashboards look like in OpenSearch. So if you have worked with similar stacks, you can build dashboards on top of the JSON data that you are storing. You define indexes, and then you represent them graphically on charts, right? So when we talk about OpenSearch, okay, it's a solution talk about security lake. It's another solution, right? OpenSearch is being used for a wide range of analytical solutions, different industries, different use cases. But for security information in particular and security data, there is a concrete solution that's available on internet, on GitHub as well. That's called SIEM or SIEM on OpenSearch, which is a solution to give you a holistic view of your activity in your accounts and your systems based on OpenSearch and S3, right? So basically, the solution unifies data streams from different sources and then gives you predefined, pre-built OpenSearch dashboards that you can consume and reuse straight away, right? It gets deployed with just one click. It's a CloudFormation script and deploys in like 15 minutes, and it works straight away, right? So this was the recommended approach until Security Lake came in, right? And as part of this CM solution, now there is also a Security Lake integration, which means that if you want to rely on Security Lake for your data, all the left part of the solution can be left as a Security Lake concerns, right? So instead of worrying about how you ingest your data, how you subscribe, you define your queues, you can have Security Lake that comes with a SQS queue. It's basically a queue service on AWS, and basically ingests all the data that you have on your Security Lake into Amazon OpenSearch into these already predefined dashboards, right? So that gives you agility because you don't have to, you need to deploy the solution, but a lot of the benefits that the Security Lake brings are already there, and you can focus on the dashboards on the OpenSearch. Okay, so now I'm going to jump into the demo, and I just want to have a look into the console and show you how Security Lake looks like. And I'm going to try not to touch this too much. And a couple of examples in OpenSearch. Okay. Okay, so this is an AWS account. So I'm going to go into Security Lake. Hey, don't look too much into that account. Okay, so Security Lake can be enabled with just one click. So if you go into the service in your account, you will see it gets automatically provisioned once you enable it. And the first things you have to do is to define the regions where you want to use Security Lake. This automatically, what it does, it creates a series of S3 buckets we have here, where all the logs coming from different AWS services are automatically stored, right? So from sources, currently supports 4 different types of sources in AWS: CloudTrail, VPC flow logs, which is basically network activity, Route 53 from the DNS, and Security Hub findings, which provides this automation analysis, the automated analysis that I described before on your resources. If you think about things like checking that your database snapshots are encrypted or not, that maybe your S3 buckets are publicly available or not, if for example your security groups in your networks are too open, so you're allowing too many accesses, or you are too relaxed on that. All those findings are reported by Security Hub automatically, so you can have them into Security Lake as well, right? Bigger, yeah, let me see if, I guess that's the bigger you can get. You define your sources, the systems you want to get data from, you define your regions. The next cool thing you can do is what is called a roll-up region. It's basically, if you are working on a specific region, you can configure security lake to store all the security data from all the regions into one single bucket, right? Which means you have all the data in one single place. You can run analytics from there. And I'm going to show you a quick example from my S3. I'm on Ireland. So that means my bucket is EU West 1, if I'm not mistaken. If I come to EU West 1, oh, no, not this one. What is that? EU West 1. What I get is I get folders inside the bucket for different systems, but inside of each system, I actually get data for each region, right? And this data is stored by hour, and it's automatically stored as zipped Parquet files, right? This makes the analytics much faster because Parquet allows what's called push-down queries. Basically, it means that you don't have to fetch all the data if what you want to retrieve is only a subset of your files, right? So that's is a huge performance improvement on large analytics. So okay, so this is Security Lake. And now I'm going to jump into the other part of the demo that I have for today, which is OpenSearch. So, okay, so what's going on here? I enable Security Lake in 5 different regions. Data is stored on S3. There is a SQS queue that's actually generating events for every single data item that's stored on the rollup S3 bucket, right? So that means everything, all the data that I have for all the regions is going to one single place, and it's available from this queue. So if I have a subscriber system that subscribes to that queue, I have visibility of everything that's going on in all the regions, right? So that's precisely what I'm going to see on OpenSearch. So if you remember the CM solution that I mentioned before, I deployed that on CloudFormation, and that generated a series of dashboards, right? Among those dashboards, I have a couple of them. I enabled CloudTrail and VPC flow logs. So for CloudTrail, for example, let me put this. Okay. This is the main CloudTrail dashboard where we get visibility at account level. I only used one account, but if you run this CM solution on an organization, which is a service on AWS to handle several accounts, you would get different account details here as well. It's just this one. We only have one. If you remember the regions, I enabled 5 regions. So we have the 5 regions here. I've been messing up with the Ireland one, so that's why there is more activity here. One cool thing that the CM solution does is what's called analytics augmentation. It means when it takes, for example, an IP, it can run a query to another system to know which country that IP is based on. And that would populate these dashboards. Unfortunately, I didn't get it configured, but I can show you how it looks like on a right configuration. So you get the visibility also, or regarding where your, for example, network connectivity activity is coming from, right, at the country level. Okay, so I'm going to close this one and. Dashboards, CloudTrail. We get so all the information that's available in CloudTrail can and is ingested here, so it can be accessed from the dashboards, right? In this particular case, the dashboard comes with some predefined features, like for example, number of failed login attempts, root login, which is 0 because it's disabled on my accounts, number of times that the security groups have changed. So I'm going to. Well, let's see, because I'm not sure how I'm running on time here. I'm going to click here and just show you Okay, so this was me creating an EC2 instance before. And as part of the EC2 instance creation, when you define an instance, you define a security group as well, right? So I created a security group, and it got accepted by the API. So that means here on the CloudTrail, we actually get 2 events. So we get the creation of the security group, the authorization of the security group as well. And that's just one example of all the different features and data that you can access from on the dashboards, right? This, as I said, is already pre-built, so you can just leverage. But as you can see, you get all the details here. And if you want to, you can always have all the input data as JSON that you ingest in your API. That's available here if you want to define your own dashboard. So I have another one, VPC flow logs. This one basically monitors all the activity in the single VPC that I have on the Ireland region. Again, it's only one account, my account. The VPC is, the region is only one. And you get visibility of all the accepted packages, the rejected packages. You can have a look into the IPs. You can look up this IP on maybe on a span system and check if it's why it's rejected and why it has so much activity. And again, if you configure the log augmentation, you would see the country here and the continent displayed. And then you of course you get some extra charts here, like the IP level activity. So you get an idea of maybe if you have too many login attempts or similar or rejections maybe, right? And all this is searchable. So, for example, let's pick up this one, which I believe is one of my EC2 instances. Yeah. So my name should be somewhere. Well, there are some IPs where you click and you actually see it was me messing up with the network, right? So. Okay, so this is like the right part of the data lake. If we go back to the architecture that we saw before, and well, these are just 2 examples of what you can do with integrating OpenSearch and Security Lake. Here, I also have some resources that are handy. If you have time, check OCSF project to have an idea of what's going on behind this initiative. Security Lake and CM OpenSearch is on GitHub as well, so you can run it on your account with a couple of clicks, and it's open source. I hope you found this kind of useful, and thanks for listening to me, and thank you very much.